Hey, Brandon here. This is channeled advice on the week ahead, and it's for Monday, November 4th through Sunday, November 10th. How are you doing? I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time from my spirit guides, the angels, and source. So I'll be reading through those, and I'll also be channeling through any additional information that my spirit guides, the angels, and source bring through while we're reading through these. And I'll work with my intuition on all that as well. So, first message is it's not what I had ahead of time. They pretty much played this the first time I sat down to film this was the phrase storms clearing. So there are storms clearing. There's also a message about the path ahead really being opened up or additional paths being unveiled to you and cleared for you. And they would like me to skip ahead to this message as well. The storms clearing are going to be recent, by the way. It's more of storms that happened lately, or it seems like some big storm is going to happen and then it doesn't, and you're okay. And of course, it can be literal. It's usually metaphorical when messages like that show up. Though sometimes someone in the comments is like, "Oh, that literally happened," and so it's funny when that happens too. I like that too. There showed me a golf cart randomly while I'm channeling, or while I was talking about those things, and also like a hole in one. I believe this came through in a different video, like an angel hitting a hole in one. So let me see what's going on here with the golf cart. So some of you are really in a transition phase in your life, and it's kind of like if you play a hole in golf, and then like you're in the golf cart, just kind of waiting to get to the next hole. And when you're riding in a golf cart, there's not really something where it's like unless you're driving. But in this example, you're riding, like you have to do to like force it to get there. And you can't always like force the golf cart to drive faster. It kind of just goes as fast as it goes. Like you kind of just have to sit in the cart and let the cart take you there. And some of you are metaphorically trying to force your golf cart in life to go faster than it really can. And you're like, oh, what do I have to do differently to make this happen faster? What do I have to do differently to make this golf cart get there? And it's like nothing really. It's kind of like it'll get there when it's time. So I want to make sure I'm saying this in the ways that are accurate for you. You'll know this is true for you because it'll be like nothing you've been doing has been working. It's like, sure, maybe there's things you could do to improve your life right now, or to improve you, or do some self work right now. It's not really what they're referring to. It's kind of like you're waiting for the next phase, you're waiting for the next thing, and you're getting antsy. It's kind of like patience. The golf cart will get there at the right time. Okay. So, yeah, do your self work, do what you're guided to do. Just keep that in mind. Okay. But there is this message about holes and ones on the way, or like victories. So, if you've been waiting for a victory, or if you've been working towards a victory, there are some form of victories coming through for all of you, is what I'm getting, which is great. So they want me to read this message. We're jumping through to what came through as number 5. So they show me selenite as well as the phrase a clear path. And they said, we would like to remind you that doom and gloom is not real. It's a story, it's a judgment, and it's a projection. And it's something that's sold to you, whether it's by the news or something like that. What's true for you will feel light to you. So if you are feeling heavy about a story, it may not be true. Furthermore, Source is really opening up a path for you strongly. It is your choice on whether you take it or not. Will you take the paths Source opens up for you? And you can trust your intuition and tune in and double check as well. There's nothing wrong with double checking with Source, with your intuition, like, hey, is this the path that would be best for me to go down? Is this the lightest and best path for me? Is this going to create the future I'm looking to create, or that Source is trying to get me to that'll be better than anything I ever imagined? So trust your intuition as well. I'm hearing this weird phrase like, not every path is for you. Not everything that opens up means you have to do that thing. Like, trust your intuition. Just know there are paths opening up for you that could be great opportunities for you as well, especially regarding money or yeah, is what I'm hearing. The other thing, anything else with this they'd like me to say here? I'm getting this does potentially tie in, or it does tie in with the victory thing we just talked about with the golf cart as well. Like, if surprise trajectories open up for you, see if it feels like to, or if it feels like the best move, and take the ones that feel best or that you're guided to take. Okay. The other thing is, like, there is also just a lot of clearing happening right now. Like, a lot of people are purging or releasing or preparing for the year ahead. And there's just a lot energetically going on right now in the world, like energetic storms, you could say, or just a lot being kicked up. And it's not always your responsibility to settle that for everyone, or like save everybody, or like do things for everybody. You do have to make sure you're good too. And it's kind of that whole thing where you make sure your life vest is on before you put it on someone else, or kind of deal where it's just make sure you're good before you're trying to save everyone else. Otherwise, maybe you're potentially doing more harm than good, or you're just setting yourself up for failure, or you're just not going to have a good time. So make sure you're taking care of you right now and not making everyone else a priority above yourself, which is kind of backwards if you really think about it, despite any training or programming you might have had to the contrary growing up or by religion or whoever else, your mom, whatever. So number one that came through ahead of time. Oh, there's more they'd like to talk to about the storms here. So what's up with this? So if there are things you're guided away from this week, like really pay attention to that and really heed it, or sit with it, like write it down maybe so you remember the next day if you're someone who's prone to forgetting like the messages you get or certain things. I think some people do go day by day and they kind of just forget everything that happened the day before or something, or um maybe you're someone who, like, watches a reading or something, and then, like, the next day, you're like, "What did that reading say? I remember nothing from it." And it's speaking to you specifically if you recognize yourself in that with, really pay attention to what you're guided to walk away from, like, very clearly, and really sit with that and see if it feels true as far as, like, is now the time or when that might be, because there's a reason you're being guided to walk away from things, and sometimes we trick ourselves into staying in situations we're not supposed to because of a story we have or to please other people. And it's really not time for that. It's time to look at the paths and opportunities sources opening up for you for something different that you've been asking for potentially as well. Number one here, they showed me a deer. They said, have grace with yourself. There's a deep healing happening this week. And yeah, so now there's a deep healing happening this week. Beyond that, there is grace for you that the universe is bringing in. Have patience with you this week and know things are improving. That was something that came through a couple times. We'll get to that though. There is going to be a healing around past mistakes and maybe even memories around past mistakes rising. This is to help educate you for a better future. You might realize certain things from past mistakes and you won't make that mistake again. You are also being redirected to a brighter path as there are a lot of people. Oh, so a lot of people are also being redirected to brighter paths this week too. So just know that's kind of in the air. There is a lot of change in trajectory energy to a lighter path, or just realizing something's not for you and moving on and heading towards a victory, as we kind of talked about earlier, which is cool here. So just make sure you have grace with yourself as things are kind of clearing, as things are kind of kicked up, and be gentle on yourself and give yourself what you need to. Okay, I'd be checking in every day and asking what you need for self-care. And this will come up later on too. I'd like to remind you, if you watch channel messages on November, which just came out a couple days ago when I'm filming this on the 1st of November, of course, is there was a message about checking in with asking your heart what it would like and asking your soul what it would like, and doing that like every day. Like, hey, heart, what would you like today? What would help you today? Hey, soul, what would you like today? And then just giving those things and then watching your life improve because you're doing what you need to do and what you're guided to do and what is potentially optimal for these really important parts of you that can really be key areas of for you. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. I'll remind you in the this weekly video too. So number two, anything else before we move on? Show me a dust devil, like something you might see in Arizona. I think the only place I've seen them really in a major ways is Arizona, and they're like these mini like tornadoes that are made out of dirt, pretty much, and they're not really usually dangerous or that strong where they would like be super harmful or destructive. So what's up with the dust devils here? I'm just getting that those are a sign things are going in the right direction, which is maybe contrary to what you might think. That just is what it is. Maybe you'll see a weird dust devil video on Instagram or something, after this, or TikTok or whatever. Number two, alligator. Where have you perhaps not been aggressive enough in your life? Are there targets you aren't going after aggressively enough? Are there boundaries you're not defending aggressively enough? Passivity does not mean light or better, and it doesn't mean you're a better person. There are times where the angels will be aggressive in changing something for someone, or aggressive in a way they have a message delivered so that the message is actually heard. There is nothing wrong with aggression if applied in a way of the light. What if you stopped judging aggression and started using it in an aligned way of the light to your advantage? And of course, in a way that's for the highest good. So, how can you use aggression as a tool and in a way that serves you instead of, like they said, judging it as like bad or, oh, aggressive is only for assholes or people who are mean and bad? And you're like, well, what if there's nothing wrong with aggression used in a way that's light and of the light and for the highest good? What if it's time to be aggressive in a certain area of your life and you've been neglecting that to avoid being perceived as a certain way by other people or to avoid people's judgments or projections about it, or you're afraid of coming off a certain way, which, if you're doing it in a way that's in alignment with your divine guidance and intuition, maybe people will perceive you a certain way. And maybe that's something it's time for you to work on being okay with if people think you're an asshole sometimes, for example, even if you're not. And that's just the way they think. Because you can't just get controlled by everyone's projections or judgments of you, especially if they're not going to see you or anything that you do like clearly or accurately anyways. Like you're just getting yourself into karmic situations in a way if all you do is care about what people think and you're giving them way more control over you in your life than they deserve or than would be healthy for you is something to keep in mind as well. I'm getting on track. Wasn't exactly what they were guiding me to. So let me get back on track here to what they'd like me to get to here. Yeah, where can you be more aggressive with things? I think it's pretty straightforward. I think they really explained it pretty well with this message. So just an addition that they added in is take aggressive action for the highest good this week. So maybe look at that and see where you could use a bit more of that frequency in an aligned way and realize there's nothing wrong with it per se. It's just another tool or way you can approach things that, when used adequately, will just improve your world and potentially the worlds of many others. So, what if you have to be aggressive with a point so someone gets it, but it makes everyone's world greater? Are you going to judge it then? If you were judging it in the first place, which not all of you were, but I realized some of you, or maybe one of you, were like mad when I was reading this. They were kind of showing me that, and I was just kind of like, it just kind of made me chuckle. So it's like, oh well. Number 3 here. Anything else on number 2 before we move on here? I feel like I'm just gonna kind of talk in circles a little bit if we keep going with that one. So I'm gonna move on. They have a 2.5 for you though before we get to number 3 though. So the thing about the aggressive thing is it's not meant to be a thing where you turn on you and use it against yourself in a negative way and like beat up on yourself in a more aggressive way, because that's not necessarily moving the needle in your world. And if you call number 1, there was a message about having grace with yourself with the deer, so keep that in mind too. It's more about how you're using aggression to improve your world in an aligned way. Number 3, they gave me the phrase cosmic opening. So there are new pathways opening up. So you are being open to see them. We kind of talked about the new pathways in number 5 and elsewhere, I think. If you have been working on your gifts, you are going to see a big payoff this week. Heck yeah. Keep showing up and know that things are getting better. So that kind of came through twice. It's like, hey, there are going to be improvements. Hey, things are getting better. Hey, storms are clearing. So if you've been in a rough time, well, there's some caveat to this for some of you. So, well, I'll just come back to that in a second here. So there are new pathways opening up to you. And the thing is, like with the cosmic opening, is it kind of showed up in 2 ways. It was like cosmic opening can be like you opening up more to channel and like crown chakra wise, third eye wise, like being more open to cosmic energies or universal energies flowing through you. So it's you being opened up, and it's also you being opened up to see the new pathways for you, or maybe even so you're prepared for the new pathways. Like if you were to become a reader, like you might get more of an opening or an upgrade so that you're ready to facilitate readings for people in an accurate way that makes the world greater. So keep that in mind right now. Like there are just like cosmic opening energies happening, I guess. Number 4, they showed me heart healing and third eye opening. So continuing with the opening theme for the highest good, of course. The higher aspects of you are opening up right now. So for this crowd, the higher aspects are opening up. The universe is ensuring your heart is more healed, and the universe is getting you to see more clearly. And this is where they brought in the what is your heart asking for this week reminder. So I'll say it again. What is your heart asking for this week? What would help your heart today? And then there was also the message of like, what would your soul like today? So remember those two questions and see if that will improve your life for you. Is like, what would your heart like? What is your heart saying? What would your soul like? What is your soul saying? And if you channel, it's very easy for you to get that information. Just when you ask, or just put it out to the universe and see what the universe shows you, as you ask that question every day. So, anyways, just know like with higher aspects, it really reminded me of the higher chakras, like heart chakra up kind of deals. The other thing I'm getting with this is it's time to ground the higher aspects of you in. So, let's say you've been doing a lot of healing work for yourself. There can be like an integration period where the results of that come in and really ground in and become a part of you. So, make sure you're giving yourself space for integration if you've been going through a lot of healing recently as well. And sometimes that's like, do you need to sleep to integrate? Do you need to call in integration? Is there something you're being guided to do for integration? And there's energetic tools for that as well. So maybe see what comes to you regarding that if that's something that's on your mind, or anything like that. Anything else before we move on here? So we already did number 5 earlier with like selenites and a clear path and the path being cleared. So we're going to go to number 6 now. Actually, there's an extra message they have. So let's see what's up with this here. So there's this message that for some of you here, you're second guessing yourselves a lot, and it's kind of time to pay attention to like, do you really need to do that? Or has it been shown to you your intuition is accurate and second guessing yourself is actually a little bit self destructive, maybe because it's like keeping you from doing the things that are going to move you forward and make your world greater? So if you're second guessing yourself when you don't need to, like what will it take for you to heal that and to give up that pattern and let go and start to trust a bit more what's showing you it can be trusted, like your intuition, for example. Number 6, they show, I'm not sure if a sunbird is like a real thing. It sounds like it's something that is a real thing. However, they gave me the word sunbird as well as a bluebird. So there is a sharp rise in signs and synchronicity this week. So just follow the signs was something they added in. The other message that they added in is like things are going to take flight soon. Like there's a lot of change happening. I feel like there's a lot to unpack and they didn't really give me much more than that ahead of time. So let's see where they go with this one, or if they're just like want to leave it there. Like the sharp rise in signs and synchronicities is pretty straightforward. There's just going to be more of that. And it makes sense because there were messages about more magic coming in that lines up with, and that was from channel messages on November. So as far as things are going to take flight soon, that they're showing me the hole-in-one and the golf cart and the victory thing and like new directions. So if there's been something you've been working on for a long time, like a business, there is a strong chance that in the next month or two, that's going to take off a bit more. That message in particular was not for everyone. The second part, though, is going to be for the rest of you. Like a lot of change is happening. If you've been really praying for things and really asking for things and really wishing for things and really hoping and writing it down every day, or maybe you're writing your targets down every day. There are changes happening to align you with that. So they're saying it like this: when a change rears its big ugly head, don't freak out. Maybe you can ask, is this leading me to what I asked for? Or is this positioning me to have what I asked for? And do your best to ride that wave and allow it in if it agrees with your intuition. Because again, you're being positioned for what you're asking for. So it's actually a really beautiful thing if you don't judge the change and you're in allowance of it. So please let that happen. Number 7, they show me a balloon as well as the phrase celebrate your life. This one's an interesting one that I might have to explain a little bit. However, the message is you are alive now. Celebrate and enjoy. You will attract better if you are celebrating your life. And if you're in the energy of celebration, perhaps as well. So there's one story they'd like me to tell you, and it was something that just occurred to me today. I was kind of sitting and enjoying my coffee. And I'll tell you another bonus message too. I was sitting with coffee, and there are a lot of people, or I've met a couple people, maybe not a lot, in the spiritual field who really seem to judge coffee, especially like regarding spiritual gifts and abilities. And my guides are like, coffee doesn't affect your spiritual gifts at all. Like you're channeling your intuition, like at all. So I'm like, okay. So I guess I'll pass. They told me to say something about that for you guys here today for some reason. So there you go. However, there was this time in my life where I remembered I would like play certain video games, okay? Um, and they're telling me to tell you it was like a Pokemon game or something, and it was during this time in my life where I'd like if I worked, I'd like take a lot of time after work, and then I'd go home and I'd play it, and it was like maybe one of the few things I was really indulging in at the time, and like I was thinking back, and it wasn't like a great time period for me in my life overall, and it wasn't because of the video games. In fact, I was realizing like, wow, I could have really been in a lot more like enjoyment of that time period and that like time off I had where I'd get to do things like that or I'd spend time with that. And I was kind of realizing like I'm not sure if I was really judging it per se. I just realized I could have been in more joy. And that's part of what this is referring to, sort of. Might not be totally the full picture, which we'll talk about. It's kind of like there are things that I wish I just enjoyed more and just realized I could have been in more joy about at the time and just enjoyed my life more. And that probably would have attracted a different thing for me if I had been enjoying those things more. And can you allow yourself to have joy in the things that you could enjoy right now and like allow that in and like experience that and be present with it instead of just like, ho hum, this is what I'm doing now. If that resonates for you. The other part of this is they're telling me specifically to tell you, like, I'm borrowing from Access Consciousness again with this one, and it's what they want me to talk about. And there's a couple other places I've seen this. However, celebrating your life is really something that does improve things energetically. It's something I've been playing with a bit more recently where like one of the tools they talk about is like every morning, one thing you could do is be like, okay, just for today, I will celebrate my life. And you could maybe even take out the just for today. If you don't like the just for today, you could be like, all right, what will it take for me to celebrate my life today? Or I asked to celebrate my life today or something like that. And the things that would show up for me when I do that are really interesting. Like there'd be like a drink that I would be guided to buy or my body would say it would like it and then I'd drink it and I'd kind of look at the something about the energy of the branding or packaging really like jumped out at me. I'm like, oh, it feels like I'm celebrating something. I'm like, oh yeah, I set that intention. Like I'm celebrating my life today. And it kind of makes sense because like you are alive today. You have this day. We don't have to wait for certain things or milestones to allow ourselves to celebrate. And how much more joy and enjoyment are you going to have if you're like, I'm alive today? I'm celebrating being alive today. I'm celebrating that I'm here and I get to have this experience and I get to create it and I get to make choices to make it even better and, ask for it to be even better and things like that. And just watch your life probably expand and improve as you do that. And so, what are the little things you can do to celebrate your life more, be in the energy of celebration, and be a bit more present with it so that you are having a life you enjoy today and every day and just see what that attracts, see what that brings in. Cause I guarantee guarantee is a weird word, but that was the word I heard. It's probably going to be better than just like, ho hum, I'm alive. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I can't be happy because I don't have this thing. And I have this story that if I don't have this thing, then I can't be happy. And so now I'm just going to be sulking about not having this thing instead of being happy in the ways I could be if I were present and allowed myself to be happy and chose to be happy by focusing on other things. Like that weird thing people kind of do and like hold happiness away from themselves unnecessarily. And funny enough, what if that happiness and joy started to attract in more of the things and the gratitude and appreciation started to attract in some of more of what they wanted to have, desired to have in their life? Or what if it did? And they're kind of saying no as I say that because that's part of the picture. Maybe that's not the whole picture for every single thing you desire. Okay. And, there's another question with that they're telling me to kind of lean into. Like, is it for the highest good to have some of the things you desire or think you would like to have right now? And have you checked in with that? And what if there's something better? So there's more to the puzzle than just like, and the other thing is, I'd rather you not take it where like, oh, you're not happy. That means you're not going to attract what you'd like to have because that's not necessarily the truth either. I feel like it's couldn't hurt to be happier. I'd say it's probably going to make your life lighter and better. But you get it by now. We could talk in circles around that all day. So there's one more message they'd like me to get to, or maybe even a couple before we part ways today with this video. They're showing me a wolf here. They're showing me the Wolf of Wall Street also, but they're also showing me something about instincts. So I would trust your instincts this week. Like, if your spidey senses are going off about anyone, anything, like, really pay attention to it, like, really listen to it. It's just something they'd really like to hammer in right now for some reason. And wolf spirit animal can talk about instincts. So what else is going on here? I feel like you're going to be able to sniff out people pretty well this week. So if something smells a little bit fishy in more of a negative way, or feels like is not going to go very well, just stay away from that thing. You know, it's kind of what I'm getting. It's pretty self-explanatory. They're also showing me the moon, and they're just talking about how we've had a lot of potent moon things happen recently. Like, we had the eclipses. I think that was just a couple months ago, or maybe last month, and I shows how much I pay attention to like the dates of those things when they happen. We had like the super full, like the super moon. That was a full moon. We just had a new moon a couple days ago. By the time this posts, and what's up with that? Why are we talking about the moon? We're still kind of seeing the results of those things. We're not totally out of the woods regarding some of the shifts that have been happening regarding the moon, or some of like the intentions you might have set regarding like full moon or new moon or lunar eclipses or things like that. So just know there's still change on the way regarding intentions you've set, maybe intentions other people have set for them. If you're talking to anyone after this and they're like, I haven't seen this thing yet, you know, there's still things rearranging and changing. So it's, for some reason, there's this message like, hey, we're not out of the woods yet regarding some of those things, if you feel like that pertains to you. So they're saying we're pretty much done. They were showing me like transformers or robots as well for some reason, and I guess the message is like, can you get back into any type like childlike joy or wonder this week, and see if that helps you enjoy your life more. And besides that, they're done. So I hope this helped, resonated to whatever is for your highest good. I hope this contributes to you creating a greater life for yourself, or generating a greater life for yourself. If you'd ever like to go further with my work, there is a new release that came out a few days ago. It's the Valeu Vumu Festu Vastu Valeuka audio loop, and that is for energy cleaning and clearing for the highest good, and more for the highest good. It goes deeper. It does a bit more than just energy cleaning and clearing, though that's a good starting place for maybe understanding what it does. And that works with the symbols of Valeuka that I channeled through to facilitate energy healing for the highest good. And it's a potent and gentle at the same time way to do that. And it's cool because you can just put it on and clear a room, or meditate to it, or put it on while you sleep, and it will clear your energies and do energy work for the highest good. So you can find that on brandonhbloom.com/store, or you can also find it on ValeuArtandCrystals.com. It's on both of those places. If you're a Let's Go Higher member, you already have that one as part of the membership for free, no additional cost. So you can put that on and check that out and see what that does for you, though it's had good feedback so far with the people I've heard back from regarding it. So I'm excited to see what that does in the world. And you can find more from me on BrandonHBloom.com and see my other offerings like one-on-one channeled intuitive readings, channeled life coaching, etc. So I'll let you check that out if you're interested. Besides that, have a good week.